The night was unusually cold in the small village of Umuse. The moon cast a pale light over the silent farmlands, and only the sound of crickets filled the air. But then, out of nowhere, a faint cry echoed through the darkness. First, people thought it was the wail of a restless spirit. No one dared to step outside, except Mama Nena. She was a frail old woman, known by everyone in the village for her kindness and stubborn courage. When others whispered about witches and omens, Mama Nena trusted her heart. She wrapped her old faded wrapper around her shoulders, grabbed a rusty lantern and followed the sound. Her feet led her down the lonely path near the abandoned uncompleted building at the edge of the village. Cries grew louder, and Mama Nena's heart began to pound. She paused for a moment, fear tightening her chest. Till something stronger than fear pushed her forward. Inside the building, the air was heavy with dampness and broken blocks littered the floor. Mama Nena raised her lantern high, and her eyes widened in shock. 3 tiny babies, barely wrapped in thin cloths, were lying on the cold concrete, shivering and crying. Triplets. Tears filled her eyes as she dropped to her knees. "Chinik, who could abandon innocent angels like this?" she whispered. In that instant, Mama Nena made a decision that would change the course of her life forever. She gathered the babies in her arms, her frail body trembling. She had nothing, but she had love, and she knew she couldn't leave them behind. By morning, the entire village had heard the news. Mama Nena had found 3 abandoned babies in the old uncompleted building. People crowded around her small mud house, peering through the window to catch a glimpse of the infants. Some whispered that the babies were a curse, others said they were a blessing from God. The women in the village argued endlessly. "Triplets? Do you know what that means?" "It's a sign of wealth," one exclaimed. But another spat on the ground. "Or a sign of shame. Who knows what sinful woman dropped them like kittens?" The scandal grew as fast as the story spread. Despite the chatter, Mama Nena's mind was made up. She would raise them as her own, no matter the hardship. She gave them names that reflected her prayers. Chika, meaning God is greater, Chidinma, meaning God is good, and Shinonso, meaning God is with us. To her, they weren't curses, they were her second chance at family. But survival was not easy. Mama Nena had no husband, no farmland of her own, and no money. She relied on her weaving, selling raffia mats at the market, and sometimes she went without food just so the babies could eat. Her wrinkled hands worked until they bled, yet her heart was full. Till in the shadows there were eyes watching. Unknown to her, the truth about the triplets' origin was darker than anyone imagined. And those who abandoned them were not done with their story. As the triplets grew, so did their needs. Mama Nena would sometimes go 2 days without eating, just so the children had gari and soup. Her neighbors often mocked her. "You want to kill yourself for children that are not even your own?" they sneered. But Mama Nena only smiled weakly. Triplets, despite poverty, were bright. Chika loved books. He would borrow torn school notes from other children and teach his siblings under the moonlight. Chidinma was gentle, always singing and calming the others when hunger struck. Shinonso, bold and stubborn, often defended them when older children teased them about being abandoned. Their bond was unshakable. At night, they would curl around Mama Nena like chicks around a mother hen, whispering promises that one day they would make her proud. "Mama, you will never suffer again when we grow up," Chika vowed with childlike confidence. But fate seemed merciless. One year, during the planting season, Mama Nena fell terribly ill. With no money for hospital bills, the triplets, barely 10 years old, took turns fetching herbs, fanning her through the night, and even begging in the market for alms. The old woman survived, but her strength never fully returned. Till even in weakness, she encouraged them. "Children, life will fight you, but don't let it break you. Remember, you are not a mistake. You are God's miracle." As the years passed, the triplets grew into teenagers. Poverty still followed them like a shadow, but determination burned brighter. Chika began running errands for traders in the village market. For every heavy load he carried on his head, he earned a few naira. It wasn't much, but it helped buy food. Chidinma, with her sweet voice, sang at gatherings. Sometimes people dropped coins in her wrapper, touched by her melodies. She often gave the money to Mama Nena, who always cried silently, wishing she could do more for them. Shinonso, restless and bold, often got into fights. He hated the way people looked down on them. "One day I will show them," he would say angrily. Mama Nena worried about his temper, but deep inside she knew his fire would one day make him great. One fateful afternoon, a wealthy trader visited the market. He noticed Chica's intelligence as the boy calculated money without error, despite never owning a proper schoolbook. The trader was impressed and gave him a scholarship to attend secondary school. For the first time, hope flickered in their small home. That night, they celebrated with nothing more than roasted corn and laughter. Mama Nena whispered, "God is finally remembering us." But in the shadows, jealousy was already brewing among neighbors who could not stand to see poor children rise. Chica's scholarship changed everything. He wore his first real uniform, and Mama Nena wept as she adjusted the collar. Chidinma and Shinonso cheered for him, but in the village gossip began. "Who knows where that old woman found those children? Maybe she used juju," some whispered. Chidinma overheard one of the market women mocking Mama Nena. Her heart broke, but she said nothing. Instead, she sang louder at gatherings, her voice carrying both pain and strength. The more people mocked, the more determined she became to prove them wrong. Meanwhile, Shinonso's anger grew. He hated hearing people insult their mother. He started picking fights at school and in the streets. Teachers complained, but Mama Nena only begged, "Please, my son, don't let anger ruin you." Her frail body could barely keep up with the stress. Still, the triplets leaned on each other. Chica's brilliance began to shine. Teachers loved him, and even students respected him. But behind the respect lay envy. Not everyone was happy to see a poor boy rising higher than children from wealthy families. One evening, a neighbor warned Mama Nena, "Be careful. People don't like your children's progress. Envy is a dangerous thing." Mama Nena prayed harder that night, holding her rosary tight, unaware of the trials ahead. Life took a cruel turn one rainy afternoon. Chica was walking home from school, clutching his books, when a speeding car splashed through the muddy road. The driver lost control and hit him. Chidinma and Shinonso ran to his side, screaming. The villagers gathered, shaking their heads. "Ah, that's the end of his scholarship," someone muttered coldly. Mama Nena rushed in, her wrapper soaked with rain, and held Chica in her arms, weeping as though the heavens had betrayed her. They rushed him to a small clinic. The doctor said the injury was serious and surgery was needed. But the money required was far beyond what Mama Nena could afford. She sold her last gold earrings, gifts from her late husband, just to keep Chica alive. Chidinma sang at night outside the clinic, hoping to raise money from passers-by. Some gave coins, others ignored her. Shinonso, boiling with anger, swore vengeance on the driver who had caused the accident. "One day I'll make him pay," he muttered, fists clenched. Chica survived, but the scar on his leg remained forever. It became a reminder of how fragile their dreams were, and how envy and fate always lurked in the background. Just when Mama Nena thought the weight of the world would crush her, help came from an unexpected place. A wealthy businessman named Chief Odigwe had heard about Chica's accident and the triplets' struggles. Quietly, he paid the hospital bills in full. Mama Nena was stunned when the nurse told her, "Don't worry, Mama, everything has been covered." She looked around the ward, confused. Who did this? But no one gave her a name. At night, as she prayed, she whispered, "Lord, whoever you sent, bless them richly." Chica, lying weak in bed, promised, "Mama, I will never waste this second chance." But not everyone was happy. Some villagers grumbled, "Humph, how can poor orphans always find favor? Something is not normal here." Jealousy spread, and soon rumors twisted the act of kindness into something darker. Meanwhile, Chief Odigwe, watching from afar, seemed to know more about the triplets than he admitted. But why was he interested? And what was he hiding? While Chika healed, Chidinma found her gift blossoming. She was invited to sing at a church crusade in town. The crowd was enchanted, and a music scout approached her afterward. "You have a voice that can move nations," he said, handing her a card. Chidinma's heart raced. Could this be her path out of poverty? Mama Nena, however, was hesitant. "My daughter, the city is dangerous. People will promise you heaven and earth, but you don't know what they hide." But Chidinma begged, "Mama, let me try. I will never forget you." Against her fears, Mama Nena allowed her to attend rehearsals. Soon, Chidinma was standing on bigger stages, her name whispered with admiration. But with every step she climbed, more temptations surrounded her. Men with promises, women with jealousy, and a cutthroat industry waiting to swallow her. And deep in her heart, Chidinma felt a pull, toward fame but also toward betrayal. As Chidinma's voice carried her further into the spotlight, strange things began happening in the village. Mama Nena often felt like someone was watching her at night. Sometimes, food she left inside mysteriously disappeared. One evening, while returning from evening mass, she caught sight of a man lurking near her hut. "Who are you?" she demanded, her heart pounding. But before she could get closer, he vanished into the shadows. The next day, a letter appeared at her doorstep. "The children are not yours. When the time is right, I will come for them." Mama Nena's hands trembled. She hid the letter, not wanting to scare the triplets. But she knew someone from their past had returned. Someone dangerous. Meanwhile, Chika noticed how protective Mama had become. "Mama, what are you hiding?" he asked. She forced a smile, whispering, "Nothing, my son. Just focus on your healing." But in her spirit, fear grew like wildfire. While Chidinma chased fame, Chaik was determined to build a life in Lagos. He started as a cleaner in a car dealership, working day and night. Many mocked him. "Village boy, go back to your bush." But Chaik kept his head high. One day, luck found him. The owner of the dealership, a wealthy man named Mr. Edom, noticed Chaik's honesty. When a customer forgot an envelope full of cash, Chaik quickly returned it. "Young man," Mr. Edom said, impressed, "integrity is rare. I will make you my assistant." From then, Chaik's world began to change. He learned about luxury cars, investments, and the lifestyle of the rich. But he also saw their corruption, the backroom deals, the betrayals, the mistresses. Temptation came knocking too. A wealthy widow began showering him with gifts, promising to take care of him. Chaik's loyalty was tested. Would he stay true to his humble roots, or grab quick wealth the easy way? Back in the village, Mama Nena prayed daily, sensing storms ahead. One stormy night, Mama Nena heard a knock on her door. Trembling, she lit her kerosene lamp and opened it, only to see a tall man with a scar across his face. "Leave the children," he growled, his voice heavy with menace. "They are not yours to keep." Mama Nena's body shook, but she stood firm. "I found them when the world abandoned them. They are mine." The man slammed a knife into the wooden doorframe. "This is not over." Then he disappeared into the rain. Triplets awoke to find Mama sobbing quietly by the fire. She told them nothing, but deep inside she knew their true origins would soon be revealed and it wouldn't be peaceful. Fame came with a price. Chidinma's manager began exploiting her, taking more than half of her earnings. She tried to fight back, but he threatened to expose her darkest secret, that she had slept in hotel lobbies during her early struggles. Loneliness ate her alive. The glitz of Lagos became a cage. She drank to numb the pain and partied endlessly. Soon, her beautiful voice cracked from overuse. Critics began whispering, "Her time is almost up." One evening, during a live show, her voice completely failed her. She stood frozen on stage, humiliated as the audience booed. That night she broke down, whispering, "Mama was right. I should have been more careful." But it was too late. Her career was hanging by a thread. Far away, Mama Nena prayed for her, her spirit restless. The children she had raised were entering storms she could not shield them from. Obinna, once humble and grateful, was now intoxicated by wealth. His real estate empire had expanded across Lagos, and women flocked to him. But with success came arrogance. One day, he accused Mama Nena of trying to control him. She had merely asked him to remember his roots. "Do you think I owe you my life?" he snapped. "I built this with my own hands." Those words pierced Mama's heart like a knife. She had fed him when he was nothing, clothed him when he was naked, yet here he was, denying her sacrifice. Later that night, Obinna signed a shady business deal with ruthless investors. In his pride, he didn't know he was digging his own downfall. Chike, the triplet everyone admired for his calm nature, was hiding a dangerous secret. He had borrowed money from loan sharks during his university days, and though he had repaid some, interest kept piling. Now that he was wealthy, they resurfaced, demanding more. "Pay us, or your name will be dragged through the mud," one of them threatened. Instead of confiding in Mama or his siblings, Chike tried to cover it up. He gave them hush money, but the more he gave, the more they demanded. Soon, his finances started bleeding, and rumors spread that his company was going bankrupt. Investors began pulling out. Alone in his office, Chike wept. The same uncompleted building where he once prayed for help echoed in his memory. Mama's words haunted him. "Secrets are like shadows, they always follow you." Edawara, the only sister among the triplets, had always been level-headed. She invested wisely, built a fashion empire, and was adored across Nigeria. But in her heart, she carried a forbidden love. She had fallen for Emmanuel, Chike's closest friend and business partner. Emmanuel was married, yet their stolen glances burned like fire. Mama Nena once noticed her restless eyes and asked, "Edawara, who troubles your spirit?" But Edawara brushed it off, ashamed to reveal her heart. One evening, Emmanuel cornered her at a gala, whispering, "You complete me." She knew it was wrong, but her pulse betrayed her. The scandalous affair, if exposed, could destroy not only her reputation but also Chike's fragile company. Still, the temptation grew stronger with every meeting. Mama Nena, though weak with age, sensed the storm gathering. She noticed how Obinna barely visited, how Chike grew distant, and how Adawara's eyes betrayed longing. At night she prayed fervently, "God, I picked these children from the dust. Don't let them destroy themselves with pride and secrets." But the city of Lagos was already whispering. News spread of Obinna's questionable deals. Rumors swirled about Chike's debts. Fashion magazines hinted at Adawara's closeness to a married man. One afternoon, Mama overheard market women gossiping. "Those triplets? Wealthy indeed, but trouble follows them like flies." Her chest tightened. She realized too late that the family she had nurtured was slowly unraveling. Chike's business, once promising, began to collapse under debts and mismanagement. Desperate, he turned to Obinna for help. Obinna smirked. "Brother, business is war. If you can't survive, step aside." Chike felt the sting of betrayal. It was Obinna who had convinced investors to pull out, secretly planning to absorb Chike's company into his own empire. Edawara tried to mediate, but her words fell on deaf ears. The brothers no longer trusted each other. In a heated boardroom meeting, Obinna slammed the table. "I don't care if we share the same blood. In business, loyalty means nothing." Chike left that day broken, realizing his brother had chosen greed over kinship. Adawara's secret finally spilled. Paparazzi caught her in a compromising situation with Emmanuel. The photos flooded blogs, tabloids, and social media within hours. "Triplet sister caught with married man," the headlines screamed. Overnight, her fashion empire trembled under the weight of scandal. Emmanuel's wife confronted her publicly, hurling insults at a charity gala. Cameras captured every second, and Edawara was humiliated beyond measure. Mama Nena wept. "Edawara, my daughter, is this the destiny I prayed for?" Adora's tears stained her pillow. For the first time, she wondered if wealth had only brought them closer to destruction. The scandal broke Mama Nena's heart. She stopped eating, stopped talking, and would sit by the window staring at nothing. "Children," she whispered weakly one night as the triplets gathered, "I raised you with love, but look what the world has made of you." Chike knelt beside her, crying, "Mama, please don't give up on us. We'll make it right." But Mama Nena shook her head slowly, her frail hands trembling. "I wanted to see joy before I die. Instead, I see division, betrayal, and shame." Triplets exchanged guilty looks. For the first time, they truly felt the weight of their choices. Obinna, shaken by Mama Nena's state, visited her bedside late at night. Alone with her, he dropped his usual arrogance. "Mama, forgive me. I thought money would fix everything. I forgot the lessons you taught us in that uncompleted building." His voice cracked. Mama Nena's eyes watered, but she said nothing. Silence hung between them, heavy with regret. Meanwhile, Adora, desperate to salvage her reputation, called Chike. "Brother, please stand by me. If the family abandons me now, I'll lose everything." Chike hesitated, remembering Obinna's betrayal and Adora's scandal. But seeing Mama's fragile state, he realized they had no choice but to unite. That night, for the first time in years, the triplets agreed to come together, not for wealth but for Mama. Triplets gathered in Mama Nena's small sitting room. The once luxurious houses they owned didn't matter that night, only her fragile life did. Adora knelt at Mama's feet. "Mama, forgive me. I lost my way. I let pride blind me." Tears streamed down her face. Obinna followed, holding Mama's frail hand. "I chose greed over family. But no more, Mama. I promise you no more." Chike added softly, "We were lost, but we found our way back, to you, to each other." Mama Nena's lips quivered into a faint smile. "If this is my last night, at least I know my children are one again." For weeks, the triplets tried to undo their wrongs. Chike donated huge sums to orphanages. Binna stepped down from his corrupt deals. Adora humbled herself and sought reconciliation with her critics. But Mama Nena's health worsened. The doctors warned that her heart was too weak, her body too tired. One morning, the triplets rushed her to the hospital after she fainted. In the sterile white room with machines beeping faintly, they held her hands. "Mama, please hold on," Adora whispered desperately. Mama Nena looked at them with soft eyes, whispering, "I have held on long enough. It is time to rest." The room fell into a heavy silence. Triplets' wealth suddenly felt worthless. The day came like a shadow. Mama Nena lay weakly on her hospital bed, her breath shallow but her eyes bright with peace. The triplets stood around her, tears streaming down their faces. "My children," she whispered, her voice breaking. "When I found you in that uncompleted building, I had nothing. But you became my everything." They broke down, clinging to her hands, begging her not to leave. But Mama only smiled faintly. "Do not cry, live for me. Love for me. Stand together always. That is my last wish." And with one final breath, Mama Nena closed her eyes forever. The heart monitor gave its last sound, and the room fell into a silence that could break the soul. The funeral was unlike anything the village had seen. Triplets spared no expense, but more than the wealth, it was the sorrow in their hearts that filled the air. People whispered of the woman who raised abandoned children, and how those children rose to greatness. Mama Nena was remembered as a symbol of love and sacrifice. At her graveside, Chike vowed, "Mama, your name will never die." Obinna added, "We will build schools in your honor." Adora concluded, her voice breaking, "Everything we have, we owe to you. Rest well, Mama." Years later, the triplets' businesses flourished beyond imagination. But no matter how high they rose, one truth lingered. They would have given all their riches just to have Mama Nena sit with them one more time. Her absence became the greatest lesson. Wealth is fleeting, but love and sacrifice last forever.